Mr. Ramesh Kumar, uh, just wanted to know about you have done research, I think, for last 10 years of the climate change and the temperatures of oceans. So, what have you found? What are the conclusions that
See, I have been working in the field of oceanography and sea surface temperatures, especially in relation with monsoons, cyclones, climate change, etc. And the most interesting thing is actually the sea surface, especially the air sea fluxes has been changing. Evaporation has been increasing. So many things have been happening in a global warming in scenario or even a climate change scenario. Recently, we had actually published a nice paper in a journal called Climate Dynamics, whereby we have clearly showed the sea surface temperatures in the western equatorial Indian Ocean and the southern part of Arabian Sea has been substantially warming. And also, we have found that the southern part of the Arabian Sea and the western equatorial Indian Ocean has been the warmest area of the whole of the global oceans.
that
This
is
has actually
close to
tremendous.
Goa? The area what you are referring is to is
No, no.
close to.
Yeah, yesterday I mentioned about in the Times of India, I mentioned about actually the southeastern Arabian Sea. But if you look at actually on a global perspective, the western equatorial Indian Ocean and the southern parts of actually Arabian Sea has actually been substantially warming. This has several implications or repercussions for our monsoons and cyclones. For example, our Goan monsoon, Goa Power Sport Park, what all things will happen. And another thing is actually last year, 2023 was an El Nino year. So we have several things which are actually affecting our heat wave conditions over the whole of the Indian subcontinent, including our own state of Goa. See, when in general, the global warming and the climate change is actually increasing day by day, hour by hour, or maybe decade by decade. 2014 to 2023 was one of the warmest decade of the century. 2023 was actually the warmest year of the whole century. 2024 January, February, March, each month has been warming and has been one of the warmest of the several decades or several years. So things have been actually changing from bad to worse. And most of the places in Goa, we have actually like heat wave like conditions. So, which is also I would say, is a bad story. So far, we have not got any heat waves. And unfortunately, Goa didn't receive much of the pre-monsoon showers, which is supposed to receive in the either in the months of March and April. No doubt, the maximum pre-monsoon showers come in the month of May. So all these actually make actually, I should say, a bad story as far as the meteorology is concerned, as well as the air sea interaction and the ocean. All these
And the
are
minimum
concerned.
temperature in Goa is rising, it seems.
Very true, very true. So it looks as if there's, in fact, Nita had actually reported it's almost 28 degrees Celsius. Can you think actually a minimum temperature of 28? This actually had happened. So I would say there is the range has substantially decreased between the minimum and the maximum. In fact, currently I'm in a place in Kerala where the temperatures have shot up more than 40 degrees Celsius in several places. And the humidity in the Kerala has actually substantially increased the, I would say, is actually discomfort index or maybe the effective temperature is much more. Luckily for Goa, we don't have much of a humidity. So our things are much all right as compared to Kerala.
But what effect this will have on long-term the climate of Goa, monsoon or crop?
Yeah. Actually, I would say there are several things which it will have. One is actually our drinking water. The water in most of the dams will actually substantially decrease. The same is actually applicable most of the parts. For example, you might have heard about the Bangalore story, where a lot of lakes and we had actually tough time. So such scenarios. So the drinking water shortage will be there almost all parts. Drinking water, because the pre-monsoon months actually, if you don't get enough rains, it's actually a tough time either for agriculture and the whole of the ecosystem, the birds, the flora, the fauna, everything will get affected. Even the simple thing like a drinking water. So we'll have more and more of tanker mafia in a state like Goa also.
Okay. So you have to be prepared for all this.
Very well prepared. I would suggest that actually whenever we get, in fact, Goa gets plentiful of rainfall, but we need to clean. We need to clean our wells, our ponds, and all these things we need to clean up and store and recharge the water so that we have enough groundwater. Goa gets plentiful of rain, but all this water is actually going back actually into the Arabian Sea. unless we recharge our groundwater, which is very, very important, because we wait actually and then started crying or weeping.
So we need to go back to our old traditional system of
Exactly,
wells,
exactly.
lakes.
We need to go to our traditional this one. In fact, several states in India, for example, Gujarat, Rajasthan, etc., they have actually step wells. Traditional, they had actually practiced actually called Bauri or whatever they used to hold. Not now, maybe hundreds of years back. They had actually a mechanism by which they, first of all, the area itself will be very cool. And they stored the water, as you mentioned. The traditional storage of water is actually fantastic. So in fact, Goa also gets plenty of rainfall, but there is no proper storage mechanism. If there is no groundwater is not properly recharged, if there are not wells, in fact, good old days, almost all the houses are actually wells. Nowadays, everybody wants to close down the well, say there will be some malaria or dengue or whatever, and then they close down and make a room or whatever.
So are dependent on the few dams is dangerous.
Exactly. Very, very true, very true. We are dependent on a few dams actually, which are actually now almost decreasing day by day. The levels in these dams are actually decreasing day by day.
But still, we are not learning.
Hopefully, exactly. We have not learned from the past several years. We have not learned anything. What you said is true, because when you get a plentiful, we actually on a let us say spree of actually spending. We are not keeping any reserve. Another thing which we need to do is actually we should not. I would say we should not use actually several places. We are using bathtubs, swimming pools in several societies. So maybe most of the swimming pools in several societies, or maybe the public places also should be, maybe I should not say closed down or whatever, or alternate days. Even cleaning of cars, washing of cars should be on alternate days, maybe once in 3 days or whatever. So most of the people are actually dependent upon the PWD. First and the foremost is very cheap, almost next to nothing. So people think it is actually the birthright to so many things people are doing, which is actually puts a pressure on the common PWD people, so that unless the PWD water is actually in the society where we live, we also had a tough time. And this has not happened in the past several years. In the month of April, no doubt once or twice in a year, we need to get that. But this year it has come as early as, and this particular year, the temperature has actually increased from the middle of February itself. In fact, we call December, January, February is actually the winter months, or January, February we call as winter months. Even the temperature has started increasing from the middle of February, which is actually very ominous, or I should say a dangerous trend, which is a bad thing actually for the state of Goa.
So what is in store for us in future? Now this temperature rising.
Yeah. This is actually, I would say, we will have more and more of extreme weather events. Like say, we will have more and more of cyclones in the Arabian Sea. This intense rainfall event. What should have fallen on several days falls in one particular day. So we call it actually, if the rainfall is more than 10 centimeters in a day, that's what we call actually intense rainfall event. Such events are going to increase in future. And we will have more and more of droughts, floods. Like last year, we had actually an active monsoon condition in the month of July. And in the month of August, there was hardly any rain. So 2023 August was actually pretty bad. And 2023 July was actually one of the wettest July in the past 76 years.
Okay.
So such things we can expect in future.
Okay. So it will create droughts, and then it will also create flooding.
Exactly. We will have more and more of droughts. We will have more and more of floods. We will have more and more of intense rainfall events. We will have more and more of heat wave-like conditions. So another thing which has happened in the state of Goa is actually our land change pattern has actually substantially changed. This can actually create a lot of actually landslides and such stuff. Okay. So it's actually a mixture of several things. One side we have actually climate change, global warming, plus in addition, our own human interference actually in the terms of actually land change pattern. And we never learn anything from the past. We think it is a business as usual and we can splurge in the water or whatever, or waste it, which is actually a sad story. So everything combined is actually a net effect of all those things.
So all this time, Goans were very not concerned about the saving of water. So now I think changes in our lifestyle.
High time we start saving the water, because each place. So basically we should learn from people like say from Gujarat and Rajasthan, where they each guest is actually given with a glass of water which they collect especially the women folk in that houses collect actually by traversing maybe miles or kilometers of actually distance and getting it actually from a well. Goa, we have actually getting enough and more water actually for so many these ones, but we don't store the water properly. We don't the natural resources like say well, ponds and such things, lakes in this one, we are not keeping it properly, or even most of the dams also. So we should, I would say, each year we should try to make it actually in a better format, better this one, so that our natural resources are actually kept in ship shape conditions.
But even today, government, instead of cleaning the wells and lakes and restoring all
Exactly.
this, we are saying we'll build more dams. The answer to
Yeah, yeah,
necessity is building more dams.
yeah. Existing, what you said is very true. The existing things should be taken first care, whether the well or the ponds or the lakes. First of all, we should do it, because the silt will come in most of the dams. The silt will come, and the carrying capacity or the capacity of the dam will substantially decrease year after year. So that we, as you correctly mentioned, we need to clean the dam, remove the this ones over there, so that more water can be stored in that areas.
So what now? Still for monsoon, another 1 month is left. So what do you
Yeah,
expect the
usually.
next 1 month, or how things
Yeah,
can
yeah.
be?
Yeah, I am hoping that the maximum rainfall of the pre-monsoon showers come in the month of May. So we should have actually a couple of rains actually in the month of May, and this year we are going to have a La Nina condition. So I would say we will actually have actually good monsoon over the state of Goa in the months of actually July and August, and maybe monsoon may come towards the end of May or maybe early. So we may have an early onset of monsoon this year, hopefully, and Goa will have plentiful amount of rainfall, especially in the months of actually July and August. That's the peak monsoon months, and Goa should not have much of a problem. And the month of May, we should be all right, because with a couple of pre-monsoon showers, that will bring the temperatures down.
Okay, it's a good news for Goans.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay, thank you very much for talking to us
Yeah,
and
yeah.
explaining
Most
us.
welcome, sir. Most welcome.
It's a
Okay.
very good insight into what
Yeah,
is
yeah, sure.
good for Goa and how climate change is
Yeah,
affecting
yeah.
not only Goa but whole world.
Yeah, I was able to. Don't think it's actually Goa specific. The
Yes,
whole world is changing. You
yes,
can see there are plenty of rainfall in Dubai, UAE. You might have heard. And the
yes.
flights were actually cancelled. A lot of people who are actually working from Goa, or most of the people, especially in UAE, a lot of Goans are working. So all of UAE, Qatar, Oman, all these places. Can you imagine such a huge amount of rainfall fell actually Dubai? And Dubai is supposed to be one of the most busiest airports in the world.
Mm,
Everything had actually to be cancelled,
mm.
hundreds of thousands of flights from all over the world. So such
Right.
thing scenario, and we are supposed to think that Dubai is the hottest place or whatever. Imagine one day, so a couple of these ones had actually changed. So everywhere, it's
Mm,
not our small state of Goa.
mm.
All over the world, the things are happening from bad to worse. Unless people, and we have almost reached the tipping point. People say that we have to put a cap of 1.5 degrees Celsius. We have
Mm.
almost reached actually 1.45 by now, and this 1.55, 1.5, we are supposed to have it in 2050, and
Okay.
all these greenhouse gases and such things we are supposed to reduce, but people are not ready to listen to all those things. So these things will happen in more and more in future.
The governments have to actually first put in.
Exactly. I would say the developed countries like say USA and Europe, they
Yes.
should take an initiative, because
Mm,
the developing countries like say India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, we
mm.
need to develop. First of all, we have a huge population of 140 or 150 crores.
Yes.
So we need lots of stuff actually to sustain us or whatever, as compared to the developed nations like say Europe,
Mm.
Germany, France, UK, etc., or maybe USA.
Yes.
So we need to have actually some level playing field.
Mm,
And for 140, 150 crore people,
mm.
you cannot estimate the same thing what an American or a European.
And they've already
And
used their
majority of the
carbon
people,
footprints. They have already used their.
exactly. Exactly. What you said. In fact, what the Americans say is actually they call it historic emissions. I
Uh,
didn't do it. My father did. The grandfather did. But these gases, the greenhouse gases, remain in the atmosphere for a prolonged period of time, which
mm,
is actually dangerous. They
mm.
stay there for about 100 years or even more,
Okay. Oh,
and our children and our grandchildren will suffer because of this emissions actually into the atmosphere, like say chlorofluorocarbons, perfluorocarbons. All these things will retain or stay in the atmosphere, and the global warming potential is also very high. So
mm-hmm.
this actually a combination of actually this greenhouse gases emitted by the developed countries, which stays for a prolonged period of time, and
Mm,
also their global warming potential. Both are actually equally responsible for that. And people like say in India, Asia, And African countries are the worst affected. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
Unfortunately, and nobody talks about them. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
nobody
poor
talks about them.
countries. Mm.
Very poor country.
Mm-hmm.
Like
They
say
don't have
Kenya.
resources and
Yeah, exactly. Kenya
tackle.
and so many places. Yeah. We don't know what is happening over there. Like say Ethiopia, Eritrea, several countries in Africa. We have not heard about Sudan, Libya,
Right.
Chad. So many places are there. We have
Mm.
not heard at all.
They are worst
It's a
affected.
bad. Exactly affected. Huge effect. This one is there.
Mm-hmm. So it's actually a very serious situation and very scary
100% is a
situation.
very serious situation. So that, see, unless the problem with the Western world is actually they think as if the America and the USA only exist, whether it's actually UN or whatever. They
Oh.
don't think that Asia exists only for their this one, only
Mm.
for their market. They want Asia. And
Mm.
Africa, they don't think at all, because we have actually 140 or 150 crore population whom they consider as actually consumers for
Yes.
their products.
Mm.
Okay. Whereas Africa does not come into their picture at all, because they neither consume nor buy any of their American or European products,
Yeah.
whether it's a mobile or whatever.
Mm. But they are paying the price of the mistakes of the Americans and Europeans.
Exactly. No, that's why I always say, no, it's actually the rich countries or the developed countries. They want to get away and they want to put us in a soup by saying that you should reduce. Array, how can we reduce when we have actually so much of population? See, I'll tell you, each house or every person needs actually a house, a
Mm.
two-wheeler or a four-wheeler.
Mm.
And most of the countries in Africa cannot afford that. Because I had been to Kenya long back in
Mm.
Mombasa, way back in 1983. The
Mm.
conditions are very bad in Kenya. And I saw a lot of governments over there.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
their conditions are very bad. And most of them migrated from actually Kenya to UK on a
Mm.
British passport, thanks
Yes.
to Idi Amin.
Mm.
Because during the Idi Amin regime, a lot
Yeah.
of governments migrated from actually Kenya to
Yes.
UK as a British citizen or under the British passport.
Mm. Correct. From many African countries, Mozambique and
Mozambique. No, so many people. It's a really unfortunate thing. Really unfortunate.
Mm.
This is one which they have not paid. I'll put it that way. See, Africans are nowhere responsible for the history or the emissions or whatever into the atmosphere, but they
Yes.
have to pay the price for that
Mm.
of the Western world, especially the Americans and the Europeans.
Mm-hmm. So as a whole, the whole world has to wake up and start doing something about
Exactly.
it.
I would say not only the whole world. I would say the developed countries like say
Yeah,
America and Europe.
their
They should
responsibility.
actually they have a huge responsibility on their shoulders.
Hmm.
They have a huge
Are
responsibility on
they
their shoulders.
are they taking the responsibility?
A few countries, few European countries, maybe Germany is taking or France is taking it a bit seriously,
Mm.
but and maybe a few of the Middle East countries are also taking it. I would say the Americans, especially during the Trump regime,
Mm-hmm.
they came out of that whole of that this one. They didn't want to do,
Mm.
and they don't want to participate in UN or whatever.
Mm.
Any of the climate change scenario, they don't want to say, and they wanted to protect their oil lobbies.
Mm. Only
They have a lot of oil lobbies in USA, which they
economic
wanted to protect.
interest matters for them.
Yeah.
Whole world can go to
Exactly.
dogs, but they want
Yeah,
their
exactly.
interest.
Let the world go to the dogs. They
Ah,
want to protect their financial interests.
yes, and they are the biggest culprit to create whatever the
They are the biggest culprit. I would say America is the biggest culprit. They
consumeristic
preach
lifestyle.
one thing and practice totally different. They preach one thing and it totally, because they know at the receiving end is actually the whole of the Asians
Mm.
and the African people whom nobody is bothered about,
Mm. Correct. So hopefully better
except for
sense.
actually a few European countries. Few European countries, like say maybe Germany is actually bothered, and a
Mm.
few other countries are bothered. But the
Okay.
rest of the people are not bothered at all.
Mm. Yeah, hopefully better sense prevails upon them and they,
Exactly. I was about to. I hope that a better sense will prevail on the Americans
right.
and maybe the
They
Europeans,
start
because
taking some action.
everybody, as you said, no, it is actually not the state of Goa alone. The whole
Yeah.
of India. See, for example, if something happens in Mumbai, the
Mm.
people from Goa who are actually in for Bangalore, lot of Goans have migrated to Bangalore, for
Yes.
example, for job in IT industry.
Mm. Yeah, and
All over India, Goans have
true
migrated.
sense, climate change have shown in true sense, world is a global village. You know, if something affects here, the whole world.
And exactly, very true. What you said is true. In fact, if you see, people are actually, even before this also, people have started migrating, but that migration will increase faster If the sea level is started rising, people who are actually in low-lying areas, like say Maldives or maybe our Lakshadweep or Andaman Nicobar Islands, maybe shift actually to the mainland. And the people who are actually in the coastal areas also will start migrating into the hinterland or whatever, because if the sea level keeps on rising, all the coastal areas, the people, and there will be a strong incursion of actually salty water into that our paddy fields and such. And so there are so many repercussions which will have.
Economic and social.
Economy will change. See, for example, now, who would have thought? See, for example, in Bangalore, good old days, I used to keep on visiting Bangalore for several years. In good old days, up to 12, we never needed a fan in Bangalore. But not only fan, now we need an AC. Everything is changed. Right. Thanks to the, I should not say IT or whatever, but still, so many things are happening. Yeah, development or whatever, the type of development or whatever. Yeah. Same thing is happening now in Pune also.
Yes.
Thanks to IT.
Right.
Because Pune was earlier called actually a pensioner's place. Now that has actually changed totally.
Becoming a mega city.
Mega city. Very true, very true.
So this will, everything, everywhere it is changing, everywhere it is showing its effect.
Every aspect, whether it's economy, ecology, water resources, our agriculture, our whole see, basically we say monsoon is actually the monsoon pattern can change. The cyclones can be more frequent in the Arabian Sea as compared to the Bay of Bengal. Our coastal line areas, the fisheries, for example, imagine the sea surface temperature are increasing. The fishes which you are supposed to get actually in Kerala or Tamil Nadu coast will migrate into other areas, or may go deep down, or they may even become extinct.
So fish pattern.
When the fish pattern and fishing, and not only that, it will even affect our coral reef. Like say there is actually coral reef, the coral will start bleaching. So each and everything is actually
bleeding,
and more and more. Exactly. Like, so there are several things which it can affect.
Even agriculture will affect, because with this
100%. See, if you get unusual rainfall, or if you get drought, or if you get flood, each and everything will affect, whether it's actually your paddy or floriculture. The flowers can get actually affected. Your coconut and jackfruit are supposed to be the one district, one product of actually Goa. They can get affected. Coconuts can actually change. Their cash crops or your kaju. Everything will get affected. Mangoes, your mankura.
There are campaigns that kaju production is almost 50% of the normal production.
Exactly. Even our mangoes, mankura or whatever, that also can actually get affected.
Yes. So urgent steps needs to be taken.
We need to be aware, and we need to do it just now, here and now. We cannot postpone, because if we were thinking that it may come in 2050 or whatever, but it has already, I said, no, already 1.45 we have crossed in 2024 itself, or 2023, let me say that way. So it's actually, we should, not only we alone, government of India alone, it's actually, as you said, it's actually a whole world. And especially the developed nations, like say US and maybe the West European countries, not the East European countries, who are actually, I should say, filthy rich. They should put actually some of their this one actually into the common this one, and they should help people in Asia as well as in Africa, so that they can actually survive in a global warming or a climate change scenario.
And countries like India should be subsidized, because we have
exactly.
We are producing the oxygen that is required to.
Exactly. We 100% is true. What you said is actually, and India needs to play a key role. Because we can actually be a bridge between the developed nations and the developing nations, either in Asia or in Africa. India can play a major role.
Yes.
And maybe we should switch more and more actually into the renewable energy sources from the fossil fuel. Like say we need to go for solar energy, we need to have a hydrogen fuel or electric cars or whatever. So we need to change ocean energy, wind energy, such things. We should go more and more of renewable energy rather than the fossil fuels or whatever.
There should be more and more research into this energy.
No, actually there is a research, but I would say the Western countries, USA and European countries, should share their latest technologies to India. Okay, so that see, we are consuming a lot energy because we need energy for
Mm.
our each and every step, whether it's actually a fan or a AC or this one mobile or computers or each and everything we need energy for our vehicles. So
Mm.
the latest technologies, these Americans and the Western European countries should share with us so that we will be in a better position
Mm.
and we won't use much of actually coal or fossil fuel, etc. for
Mm.
our energy needs. So we can prevent more and more of greenhouse gases going into the atmosphere. That is
Mm.
the only way, not only for Asia, India, Asia, as well as Africa. The Americans should pass on the latest technologies rather than hoard them or keep them for themselves.
Mm. That is the minimum they can do actually.
Exactly.
Even
That's the
their-
bare minimum. That's the bare minimum they can do it.
um, yeah, and then you need a paradigm shift in as far as the whole.
Exactly. What you said is the correct word. They need to think. They need to think of future because if there is no world, in
Mm.
fact, most of the important positions in America are actually held by the Indians.
Mm.
And Joseph, I think Joseph Biden was telling most of the CEOs of actually USA are actually Indians.
Yes.
So we have been producing the CEOs from India or whatever, the Sundar Pichai or whatever.
Mm.
Almost everybody is actually from India. So if there is no India, they will lose actually a huge consumer market.
Mm.
Not only consumer market, actually the brain behind most of their inventions and discoveries. Whether
Mm.
you look at a jet propulsion laboratory or Nova or wherever you go, or
Mm.
the space research, you can see a lot of Indians working there.
Yes. Mm. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Nice
Okay.
talking to you, Mr. Ramesh Kumar, and giving
Yeah,
us
yeah.
insightful information about the things which are going to happen in future and what actions can be taken, what precautions we need to take. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Most welcome, sir. Most welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye.